Hey lovelies, right, here we go. So let's build ourselves a Daemon Prince, shall we? Now I'm probably going to be doing this in sections, and what I'm probably going to be doing is doing it kind of like a page at a time. So we are initially starting off with the torso, or the back of the torso, the back. And part of the front and the legs, the upper legs and the tail. So I don't need the base just yet, let's put that back over there. But we are starting off with, she said she just needs to get things lined up. Now, why do I get the feeling I'm missing something? Oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. I'm looking at the wrong bit. Right, so here we go. This is the leg that I was looking at, and I was thinking it was the torso. No, try again. Actually, did I not clip it out? I think I may have missed a bit. 1, 2, no, I've clipped out 2. Why is that? So some of these parts do have issues, and some of the magazine numbering isn't always correct. And I did clip it out; it was stuck. Right. So, and sometimes when I'm looking at a piece, the number's wrong. I've noticed that a few times, but on this occasion I'd clipped it out and it was resting on the other sprue, hence why it was missing. So we're starting off with this leg here, which is going to be the left leg. So we're starting off with the left leg. And both these legs you need to add armour plates to. So there's that. And just add that in there. And that, I think, is going to be enough. And then what I'm going to do is glue this opposite leg, the right leg, together. So do that. So right, now we're going to start building up the torso, and what we're looking at here is the back and the pecs. Now it says to join this together. It says to join this piece to the legs, which I don't really want to do because the join isn't as good. So I'm going to make up the torso here. And the front of the torso joins together. In a particular way. So add that. There's two pins there on the inside of that raised armor panel, and then there's two little dimples just here, and they will marry up together like so. And then from there, it's saying that you can add in this, and this goes just below, this joins kind of just below his pec by the look of it. On that side. Whilst I like these miniatures because they are much more dynamic, sometimes the way that they've split them in order to get the best possible is that in right? So I would suggest gluing your right leg to the right side of the front of the torso first, and then with that extra bit in position, hopefully that is going to give us a little bit more of the jigsaw to be able to put this together. Okay. And that is going to go together like so. So I don't know if you can see the seam runs down the traps here at the back towards the butt, and then the butt cheeks join together there. So that's what you have. Bit of a nightmare, if I'm being honest, with regards to getting everything in position. you've still got a bit of a gap at the front here. So that is where we are with the torso so far. Then it's saying put the loincloth on, and that loincloth is going to slot rather nicely in there. Now there's a pin and there's a little dimple on the opposite side on the top of the loincloth, and that's just going to sit into the V there of the groin quite nicely, like so. And then we have this assembly of skulls, which are going to, in theory, slot in there, like that. Just push that together. Then we have these skulls here, which attach onto the top here in some form. That feels like it's right, but I'm not getting, maybe like that. I'll come back to that. I'm not 100% happy with it. But we do have this belt buckle, which is going to attach there. And then number 10 is going to go in around the back here. So there's a gap there. Like so. And then what we do is we've got this tail. And this tail is going to see that little V shape, that triangle shape in his butt. That's where that's going to go. And this is going to benefit from having the glue on this side, I think. And then we have this piece of armour to go on top. Like that. Right, let's have a look at this set of danglies here. I am potentially going to say that attaches here somehow. And I'm just looking at the, and there's quite a like a pronounced dent in the skull on the other side, and I think that molds around this skull here, and that feels good. That feels like it's the right place. Okay, so that's where we are at the moment. Right, I suppose it's time to chop out some other bits and pieces and trim them up before the next stage. Right, here we go. We're going to put the lower legs and feet on, but first of all, so we get a tactical rock for our Chaos Lord to stand on, and it's made up of 2 parts that just go together like that. And okay, cool. I'm not going to stick it on just yet, and the reason for that will become apparent momentarily. We then have our sort of like ankles and like, I suppose, shin. So you got your feet and your lower legs will go into the feet. So just make sure that you get these the right way round, so that when it's time you'll put them onto the bases properly. Now, I did this one first, and so one of these feet is going to be on the deck and one of them is going to be stood on the rock. So I am just adding the legs, and you'll know which one is going on the rock because it's got a tab on the bottom. Don't know if you can see that tab. And then what happens here is there is some slight moulding. So you hopefully get that the right way around, and that's kind of like how the legs are going to go. We then have this assembly, which is the upper shoulder, and it's the upper shoulder and part of the like chest. So it says to glue these 2 bits together, and that should be it. And I guess they say glue those 2 bits together because then it makes it slightly easier to get this into position, because it is awkward, not gonna lie, it's a little awkward, but that's gone in quite nicely. And then I'm just adding in the glue. So that's how we're looking so far. We also have top of the neck, which is going to go on, and this is 2 parts, so which will go together like that. And these, I think we're going to be getting away with gluing them from the inside, like so, and then it goes on there. Nice. And there you go. Right, so that's what we have, and the reason I've left the tab on that rock is because what I want to do is get a position that I'm happy with, and I need to kind of position him so that I know his centre of gravity is mostly going to be over the centre of the base. So that, I think, is where we're going to stick him. Now, I'm not actually going to stick him down at this stage, just to make painting easier. So when it comes to it, he will go on the base like so. I do apologise, I'm getting the positioning really badly in the videos at the moment. I'm pushing far too far to the back of the camera shot, and I do apologise. So this is where we're going to be, like that. Okay. Okay, so we're now coming in and building up the front armour plate, which has this little mass of wires here and a skull, and that sits into that little diamond shape in the centre of his chest. Like so. Then what we have are the armour panels going on, and these attach in a particular way, so you do need to just orientate them. So you got the collar here coming down, and then that's going to attach, and there's a little dimple here and a corresponding place on the back of the armour panel where that's going to sit. Like so. And I do recommend just dabbing in some more glue, because you just want to make sure that the correct areas have been flooded with the glue so that it sits in position. And then the other half goes on like so. Okay, just like that. So we have the armour panel, his chest plate has gone on. Then we have some cabling going on. Now these will marry up into sockets on the armour panels. Okay, so I would do the armour panel, the sockets on the armour panel first, like that, and then it will sit in position at the back, and then you can add your glue in there, and then the same with this side. So we just need to add your glue. And then add in the armour panels. Now, it does say to make sure when you do this that the tubes are located correctly on the back here, and there is a picture in the instructions that show you where they should be. So this is what we're looking at the moment. Then we have arms, so armour pieces on the arms, and you're going to start off with this piece, of which this armature then goes into it, about there, like that. And then this goes on top, like so. And this is the forearm coming down to the wrist on your Daemon Prince. Okay, which will then locate actually this is an alternative arm, so this is an alternative arm compared to the one that they said put on earlier. Wow, I didn't notice that. Okay, so that's interesting. So just be aware that you do have an alternative arm going into position. We do then have this other one on this side, and this is made up of 4 pieces. Okay, so we have this piece going together, okay, like so. Okay, like that. So that is the top. This appears to be the muzzle of some sort of firearm. And then that is placed into this, like so. Like that. And then we have this that goes over the top to seal the arm. Just be aware that you're going to need to tuck this underneath this claw here to help it sit properly, otherwise it's got the potential to pop off. Okay. And then this is going to attach here on the shoulder, on the left shoulder. Like that. just like that. Okay. Right, so this is interesting. So as I say, in the instructions, so in the instructions here, okay, you can see, is it this one? No, it is this one here. So you can see here, it tells you to put this like front armature on, this right hand arm basically, and that's the front of his chest piece there, the right hand side of his chest piece, his right pec, and then that goes in. However, in the following pictures, and I didn't pick up on this, I just thought that they'd omitted it for whatever reason, for clarity, but then they show you adding in this other arm here. Okay, so just be aware of that in the instructions if you have this kit in the premium. So I now need to look at these and try and figure out what goes there. And I think it could be one of these. So that is a definite fluff up on GW's part on the instructions. And I can see it causing a lot of confusion for some people. Now these look like bracers that are going to sit in there like that. And let me just get this axe. Yeah, so there you go, look. So you can put a bracer in, one of these bracers, part 43 or 44 by the look of it. So let's just tidy this up. Like so. And then that's going to attach to the forearm. Okay. Right, final bits, we have some shoulder pads to go on. So we've got this one with this toothy grinned demon and a big horn on it. So that is going to go on there. And then the one with the toothy grin is going to attach itself this side, and there's a slot there, and there's a big tab on the underside of the shoulder pad, so that should locate nicely like so. I can't see any other, there's one there, so you have got another contact point to help you secure it to the model better. So there's that one, and then the opposite one goes in there. And again, you've got a big tab and hole for it to go into. And that touches a couple of points here. So you've got potentially some more contact points just to make it secure. Okay. Then we're going to build this hand. So this is the hand that they're suggesting you use for the mini, and that is going to just go together like so. And then that is going to attach. You've got a tab and a hole on the wrist of the hand, and that is just going to attach like so underneath. All right, like that. Now I haven't decided, because I like the axe. I quite like this axe. I haven't decided. The instructions say to use the sword. I might go with the sword. I quite like the sword, but I also like the axe. So, haven't decided yet. Now, we then have this backpack, which will go together. So it's just basically goes together 3 parts like that. Okay, and I suggest you've got these 2 edges. So start with the one which doesn't have this bit in the middle. And I would suggest you start with that. And then come in and do that, because this piece goes across the back there. Okay. Like so, and then this will attach to the back of your demon. It has a number of slots on its back that they are going to go into, and then you're going to touch your glue to it where it joins, touches the skin. So we have our backpack demon on. Okay, we then have this tiny little 8-pointed star that they're suggesting goes on. That's going to go into this little cruciform here. And in theory, you should just be able to wiggle that into position like so. We then have the tip for the tail, and they've gone for this double barbed tip, which is just going to attach there like so. And this will probably be one of the weaker joins on the miniature. So just be aware that it's going to be fragile. Right, then we build the head. Now the head has a tongue that needs to go into the mouthpiece here. So this is the lower skull, this is the upper skull, and they're going to sandwich together. Okay. And what you need to do is put the tongue in. Now I recommend putting the tongue in first, and it's just going to go into the lower jaw, and it's tiny, so just be aware that it is this small. So this is it. This is how big the tongue is. And you just need to get it the right way up to make sure it goes in properly, and then just push it down using the tip of either your scalpel blade or tweezers, and then from there drop the upper skull into position like so. And then that will attach onto the neck here, like so. So there's your Daemon Prince. So like I say, I haven't decided if I want the axe or the sword for this guy's main weapon. I suppose I could look at magnetising, see how well magnetising takes for this. I quite like the sword, but I do prefer the look of the axe as well. So we will have a look. I might leave them off until painting, paint them both up and then make a decision. But there is your Daemon Prince. And once I have painted him up, he will be glued to the base like so. And there you go. That is him. What sort of name do you think we should give him? Cecil? Dave? Peter? Anyway, hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Alright, take care. Bye bye.